So happy to see your lovely faces. And we'll get started in a minute from now after these prayers to the spiritual master. Here we go. Om Ajnatimarandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Welcome once again. Good to see you, Vindyavali Mataji, Sukumal Radhi Mataji, Simi Mataji, Sadhana Mataji, and Varshana Mataji. And we will begin the session today of reading from Bhagavad Gita 268. But before we do that, we'll just have a quick round of checking your nimbleness on the text pad. So the question is, and if you are ready, the question is that our body is a network of and dash, dash, dash. So fill the blank there. Our body is a network of and I'm going to look at the chat because answers have started to come in. And I'll wait for a few more to come. Our body is a network of. Okay, let's see. And Dandavat Pranam, Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining the call. All right, so Varshana Mataji, Sadhana Mataji, and Simi Mataji all say that our body is a network of senses, and you are right today for 250 points. Okay, so let's get going now into the verse from Bhagavad Gita 2.68, and I'm going to start sharing that with you. And if somebody can type a yes on the pads, let me know that you're able to see 2.68 from Bhagavad Gita. And I'm looking for an answer here. Confirmation. Are you able to see yes or no? And yes, I got a yes over there, which means I am good to get started here. Okay, so reading from there. Tasmad yasya mahabahu. So tasmad means therefore. So if a verse starts from therefore, it means that something was said before in the previous verses. So to be able to relish this, we have to go now to the previous verse. So we'll just look at 67 and 68, 66, right? So there they were saying that if you is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness, one cannot neither have transcendental intelligence, right? So we're talking about intelligence here, nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And it's a very nice, it's a very nice composition over there, because we know that intelligence is superior to the mind. And if the intelligence controls the mind, then the mind will be steady. So we can have neither transcendental intelligence, and the way to control our material mind is to bring in transcendence. So once our intelligence is on that transcendental realm, then it's easier to control the material mind, right? And once the mind is controlled, then, without this thing, right, without the mind being under control or without the mind being steady, there's no possibility of peace. And if peace is not there, then there is no happiness without peace, right? So last night we saw our dear Namazya Mataji was not at peace, right? So when she's not at peace, how can you have happiness, right? So it's very, very important to have peace of mind to be able to progress to the state of happiness. And then he said that, I'm talking about mind. So it was like use transcendental intelligence to control the mind. And it says, then 67, Krishna warned the situation in which we are. And he said that as a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses, dhyayato vishayan pumsan, right? If you focus on that, It carries away a man's intelligence. So these verses are actually talking about intelligence. Okay. So he's saying one thing, that you have to be connected to Krishna. You have to control your mind to get peace and happiness, because if you don't control your mind, then it's going to sweep you away with itself. And yesterday we also said, we saw the example of a boat, and it said, as the strong winds can carry away a boat, so this body is a boat, and the body can be carried away into the material world. But we also saw that there's a boat. This body is the boat, and this boat can also be carried towards transcendence with the help of a spiritual master, where the spiritual master is the captain of the boat. He's rowing the boat, and Krishna's instructions are the favorable winds there. So we read that from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyway, going back to this topic here, it's telling you how are you going to be happy, because in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, Arjun wanted to be happy, and you all want to be happy. And so backtracking from that, he's saying to be happy, you have to be peaceful. To be peaceful, your intelligence should be in control of your mind. Having set that situation, today's verse then starts with a therefore. So this, and this, therefore, what are you supposed to do? Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya pragya pratishtitaha. Tasmadyasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya pragya pratishtita. Okay, so synonyms. Tasmat means therefore. Yasya means who. Mahabaho means O mighty armed one. So who is this mighty armed one that is being talked about here? Mighty armed one. And so let's see. I'm doing some lip reading also here. I can see some answers coming from the lips. But okay, so yeah, so Simi Sukumal Radhe Varshana Mataji, and 10108 would be Vindhyavali Mataji, who a week ago said that she cannot type, but she's here happily typing away the answers, so which is good. And that we get, and Varshana Mataji also said, Arjuna with a capital A. Fantastic. Yeah, so we're talking about Arjuna here. And he says, Nigrihitani, to curb it down, right? Bring it under your control and curb it down. Curb down this mind. Sarvashaha, all around. Indriyani, the senses. Indriya arthebhya, from the sense objects, the earth of the senses, the objects of the senses. Tasya, his. Pragya means intelligence. Pratishtita, fixed. His intelligence gets fixed, right? So what is the Sanskrit for therefore? Can you tell me what's the Sanskrit for therefore? Tasmat, says Sukumal Radhe Mataji, and that's what it is, right? All right. And what would you say if you want to curb down something? Curbing something down is what? To curb down something. Nigrihitani. Yes, nigrihitani. 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 Very nice. Nigrihitani. Namasya. Nigrihitani. 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 Curb it, curb it, curb it. Like that. Okay. Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects. One whose senses are restrained from the objects is certainly of steady intelligence. Okay. And here we are talking about the ultimate restraint, right? The first type of restraining the senses is that you don't want your eyes to go after and look at various beautiful forms here and there. If you don't want your eyes to roam, then close your eyes. So that's why when we are in meditation, we close our eyes, otherwise the eyes will roam and the mind will go in different directions. So one, that is the very lowest level of being in control with them. But then, the eyes have a mind of their own. They will open, right? Even if you're trying to close that. And that's what that verse is saying, that these in the senses do this to you. They are trying to control them, and they just run away from you. So that's at the lowest level. And Krishna gave an example of an animal. And can you tell me which animal who does this kind of a thing? And those who are on Facebook can also type your answers there. Varsha Mataji is already happily answering. Meera is also there. Vidya Batu. And Sutama Mataji is watching us there. Of course, Hemlata Mataji and Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu. And Varshana Mataji says tortoise, and that is correct for 200 points. Okay, so everybody's giving me that answer, and that is the right answer, right? So that's at the lowest level. But then we also read that, okay, if you're going to do that, if you're going to close your eyes and, withdraw your hands and don't move at all and don't speak at all and put plugs into your ears and all that, right? Stop them smelling things. I don't know whether you can close the nose, the holes in the nose or not, but for a long time. But the thing is that even after you do that in this kind of a material way, that the taste for the objects of the senses still remains. So that has to be replaced by something of a superior nature, right? So in the beginning, it is fine if you're doing that, right? Just move away from that place. That is good. But then the idea is that that control has to come really from inside, in the sense that, if you're in a situation where you have to look at things you're not supposed to look at, those things will not have any effect on you. And that is what is known as the regulative principles of freedom, that those things will stop to have an effect on you, even if they come in front of you. Okay, so that's the extreme that we're talking about. And here in the purport, Prabhupada says, one can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness, or engaging all the senses in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, as enemies are curbed by superior force. So who's our enemy? Can you tell me who's our enemy? Our biggest enemy? Biggest enemy? Biggest enemy? Biggest enemy? And Varshana-devi Dasi has the right answer. Mind is our biggest enemy. Okay? Mind is our biggest enemy over there. So, and did we have, yeah, okay. And of course, Vindhyavali Mataji also said that she was the first to answer, so answer scrolled off from the screen. Okay, so then that's the biggest enemy. So as enemies are curbed by a superior force, so who is superior to the mind? Very good. Intelligence. And who is superior to intelligence? Very good. And who's superior to the soul? Right. So now you see that if I have to curb my mind, right? I have to curb my mind. There are layers of health that I have. In my armory, I've got weapons to curb my mind, which is my enemy. I can use my intelligence, I can use the soul, and I can use the super soul, right? So I have got help coming from three places that I can do that. Okay? As enemies are curbed by superior force, the senses can similarly be curbed, not by any human endeavor, but only by keeping them engaged in the service of the Lord. One who has understood this, that only by Krishna consciousness is one really established in intelligence, and that one should practice this art under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. That person is called a sadhaka, or a suitable candidate for liberation. Okay? So one who is practicing Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a spiritual master, right? So, who is in a boat and whose boat is being steered by the spiritual master, such a person is called a what? A person who's trying to pursue Krishna consciousness. Yes, very good. So, such a person is called a sadhaka. So, thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for a fantastic purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So, this is all about the senses. We have been talking about senses for quite a few days now, and among all the senses, mana shashtani indriyani prakriti mana, the sixth sense, that's the most terrible one, which is our biggest enemy here. So, in the beginning, when I asked you a question, and I asked that our body is a network of, and all of you said the body is a network of senses, right? So, can you tell me how much percentage of your gross body, how much percentage of your gross body is covered by senses? You said it's a network of senses. How much percentage do you think it is covered by your senses? So I got two answers, one from Sukumal Radhe and one from Barsha Mataji, Sadhana Mataji, Namazya Mataji. And all of you are saying 100% of the body is covered by senses, and all of you are right for 250 points. I hope you're keeping track of the points you're earning today. I'm not keeping track of it. So, so our senses are our enemies. They are our cruel and bad masters. And worst of them is the mind. And even if you remove the mind and talk about the other senses, they cover 100% of our body. How bad is that? Right? So we are in a really, 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 dire situation that we are in. Right? So what do we do? Right? So a few verses ago, Arjuna had asked that question that, how does he walk? A man whose intelligence or, of the soul who is situated in transcendence, how does he walk? I mean, one would just think like, what kind of a question is that? Are you saying that he walks with a stagger that, oh yeah, I'm something, I'm a cool guy. Is it that? Or how does he walk? Right? So it's not that it's not that's the superficial walking that he's asking about. His question has got a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning to that question, the deeper question inside that simple sort of, question that is appearing to be a simple thing. How does he walk? How does he talk? Oh yeah, he talks sweetly. How does he walk? He walks slowly. Not like that. So the question he's asking is that how does he move around with all these senses wrapping him? 100% of you, you're covered. How will you move around? Right? Like if I take a chain and I tie your feet with the chain, and then I can ask the question, how do you move? Then you can say, well, I might just have to do some, hop, hop, hop kind of a thing, but I'll still be able to move my hands. I can move my neck. I can do all those kinds of things, right? But if everything is covered by the senses, everything is tied, how do I walk? And how can I walk? How can I survive? How can I live in this material world when I have got so many enemies and so many obstacles around in my way? So that's the question, right? How do I live, survive? My sense is bothering me all the time, right? And so we have to go to the root cause of that. Why do the senses bother us? Why do my senses want to go in different directions? So go to the root cause. We do the root cause analysis, right? We ask the 5 why questions, and usually asking the 5 why questions, you get an answer to that, right? So why were you late to office? Could not get ready in time. Why did you not get ready in time? The alarm didn't go off. Why didn't the alarm go off? Forgot to put it on. Why did you forget to put it on? Like that, so you'll come to the root cause. Why? What happened? So similarly here also we have to find the root cause, and it's very simple. It is our desires, and you all told me that yesterday. So it is our desires. We are in this world, and so because of our desires which are there, and because of this desire, the desires are so strong, right? The desires are so strong, and then on the other hand, to facilitate the fulfillment of our desires, Krishna has created this material world and giving you this pair of all these senses, seven senses, the five senses, through which you can gather the information from the external world, from the outside world, and then, you know, all these things are agitating, objects from the material world are agitating. So these forces of passion from outside, right? There are things in the material world. We read in the three modes of material nature. There are things in mode of goodness, there are things in mode of ignorance, there are things in mode of passion, a lot of passion in this world. So these forces of passion, they are captured by your senses. So they're like tubes, pipes. They're carrying everything and then sending it off to your mind like that. So how to handle that? And then Prabhupada gave us this example of that, you have to put your mind on Krishna, and you have to become a sadhaka and have your aim and a goal to reach and become Krishna conscious. And you do that not in a haphazard way. You get a spiritual master and you go and do that, right? So here in this verse, we know that there's an enemy and we have to conquer the enemy. And so one good intelligent thing to do is to get a spiritual master, right? So I'll just talk today about how we can use our intelligence, right? We all have got intelligence. It's just a matter of using it or not using it. Okay? So how can we use our intelligence to be able to vrajeta kim, to be able to move around in this world in the proper manner, right? So when we talk about intelligence, there are various levels at which you can use your intelligence, right? For example, a person uses his intelligence and finds out a way in which he can cheat the system and make a lot of money. Simple question. Does he have intelligence? Yes. Right? Is it the right intelligence? No. Right? So the first thing that we have to do is to make sure that we making the proper use of intelligence, right? And then, so the first thing that they are telling you here in the Bhagavad Gita, in this particular chapter number 2, the first thing that Krishna told Arjuna was, you are a soul and you are not the body. That is the first thing he told him. Right? So we have to use our intelligence to understand that I am a soul, not this body. So intellectually, we understand that, but we don't yet live it. We understand from all these things that we say, hey, look at that dead body. Don't you think something left? Don't you think the dead body is a living body minus something? That's why it becomes a dead body. You can put all those mathematical equations and you can understand, right? But then we don't realize it yet, right? We don't behave like a person. So when there's knowledge is coming to us, right, through the shastras, to the guru. So one way is to just understand it. Okay, this is knowledge. I understood it. This is body. This is soul. Perfect. And the second thing is that to assimilate that knowledge in your life and apply that knowledge in your life. And that is where you need your spiritual master. Right? Because he will help you. He'll put you on a regimentation. All those things, the chanting, the regulative principles and all that will slowly lead to a purified intelligence, so that at one stage we will understand. And that's why it says tad vidhi paripatena pariprashnena sevaya upadeshyanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshinaha. So those who are liberated souls, they have seen the truth. They know what it means to be liberated. And so if you serve them and you ask them questions with humility, they will impart the knowledge to you because they are in a position to impart the knowledge. If a person doesn't have a knowledge, how can he give it to others, right? If a person is a pauper and you go and asking for $1 million, how is the pauper going to give you, right? You have to, if you want $1 million, you have got to go to somebody who's got $1 million or maybe even more, right? So that he can easily give it to you. So that's why guru, the word guru means heavy, and guru is called heavy because guru is heavy with the knowledge that he has, the transcendental knowledge that he has there. Okay, so the first level of intelligence that you will engage in is to, understand that you are not the body and you are just the soul. Okay, there is a difference between matter and spirit. So people can do Sankhya Yoga, and Sankhya Yoga, which is basically the empirical knowledge, will tell you, and there are various levels to which you can go. How deep can you go, right? I can be at the level of Sankhya where I can say that there are 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And there are the 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligent, ego, and that makes it 8. And then I have got, objects of the senses, I've got senses, and so on and so forth, right? So as long as I'm talking about material elements, gross or subtle, or my senses and objects of senses, again, gross and subtle, I'm still hovering on the material plane. I'm still only analyzing the material. I'm using my intelligence only to understand the material, right? So Sankhya Yoga, I can go deeper and then say, okay, what about something beyond the material? And when we say something beyond the material, comes the question that, okay, so there must be a spirit somewhere, right? So there's got to be some sort of a spirit there, okay? So then, okay, is that Sankhya? Well, some people just say that that's Sankhya. That's end of Sankhya. Right? Some people say there is nothing in this material world. And we read about that in the 16th chapter where we were defining the demoniac personalities. And he said, there's nothing in this world except, and everything comes from sex and everything is born from sex. Everything is created from that. And that's the main purpose of the life. That's one way of looking at the life, completely material, one use of the intelligence, right? And then we have to take the intelligence to the next higher level. And the next higher level would be matter and spirit. Okay, so now you're a soul, and that's fine. I'm a soul, which is good. I'm powerful. I'm happy. I'm acharyavat. I am wonderful. Some people see me as wonderful. Some people talk about me as wonderful. Some people, even after understanding, hearing about me, cannot understand. So that I'm still even more wonderful to them because it's like, oh, what is this? Right? Then that is one level. Then you go to the next level and you say like, okay, so soul, but then I seem to be a soul. I seem to be in control of certain things, but it doesn't, it doesn't seem right because there are certain things that I'm not able to do. I'm not able to control. For example, if very hot sun is falling on my head, I'm not able to create clouds on my head and say, okay, I'm going to go under the shelter. I have to get an umbrella. If I forgot to bring it, then I'm host. So then when you dig deeper into the analysis, then you will bring and you are using your intelligence to understand that there is Krishna with us, right? There is God over there. And we will understand that there is God and that God is in control of our life. This is very, very important thing for us to understand that God is in control of our life. And Krishna hints about that in the very beginning when he says, Karmaneva adhikaraste, ma phaleshu kadachana. Right? So you have a right to perform your duty, but you should not focus on the results. And everywhere he's saying, Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat juhosi, dadasi, yat tapashyasi konteya, tat kurushvamad arpanam. So he's saying, whatever you do, right? Whatever you eat, whatever you give away, right? Whatever activities that you do, you just do them for me. And whatever activity they're doing, you do not focus on the results. Because if you focus on the result, then it is not nishkam karma. You are focusing on the results. It is sakam karma, right? You should be focusing, not focusing on the results. You should be giving everything to Krishna, right? So when we use our intelligence like that, right? We use our intelligence and we realize that, okay, I'm supposed to do some work. For example, I would say, let's take an example, because a lot of time when we say that don't focus on the results and just do the work, how am I supposed to function in this material world? Yeah, yeah, isn't it? In the material world, to succeed, we should have a plan, we should have goals, right? We should have objectives, they should be smart, we should have KPIs and KPIs and so on and so forth, right? So you talk about all that. And now you're telling me that, don't focus on the result. How am I going to survive? Right? And my manager calls me and says, have you made the goals? I'm like, no, karmane dadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. She's going to show me the pink slip very soon. Right? So when Krishna says that karmane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, what results are we talking about in that situation? Right? I mean, we have to deliver. In this material world, if something is not 100% done, then it is not considered complete. If you are working on a project at work, and if you don't complete that particular project, then zero bonus, right? You can't say it's 90% done. Okay, my software is 90% done. You can ship it to the customer. Yes, I'm sewing a blouse for somebody. I haven't attached the sleeves, but you can ship it. No, it doesn't happen. You have to complete the whole thing, right? So I have to be focused on the end results. I have to I have to be there. So what does it mean that karmarneva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, right? If I don't focus on the results, what am I going to do, right? So we have to keep in mind that whenever we do any activity, there will be a result. A result could be in alignment with what we wanted, or it could not be in alignment with what we wanted. Okay? So that is good or bad, aligned or misaligned. That is the material result of your action, right? For example, I want to become a very successful businessman, right? I want to become a very successful businessman. And I invest a lot of money. I use my intelligence to draw plans. I have, go through the budget. I raise money. I have my plans like first quarter, I'll make so much of revenue, second quarter, first year, second year, like that. I have the whole plan, which is there, right? And something goes terribly wrong and I don't get those results. First quarter, failure. Second quarter, failure. Third quarter, failure. First year, failure. Now you have to go and borrow money. Now, it's the most difficult thing to do in life is to borrow money. There's a very famous saying that says that if you want advice from people, then you ask them for money. If you want money from people, then you ask them for advice. Like that, right? So if you go to a busy person, then you say, all right, so sir, do you have some time? I've got this big plan. I want to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. I want to, and you bug him every time, like, how do you think we can position a Chaitanya Charitamrita? He'll say, you know what, I don't have time, but I'm willing to write a check for you. And you'll get the money. On the other hand, if you go and ask for money and you say that, I've got this project, I want to distribute 200 Chaitanya Charitamritas this month, but I have to first place the order to get the books. I've come to you. If you can lend me some money to do that, that person will spend 2 hours with you advising you. on other places from where you can get the money, and or why you should not be distributing the books and why you're wasting your life, and all that kind of advice will come, right? So asking people for money is a very difficult thing. So this businessman who had used his intelligence and had a nicely chalked out plan, set up a business, but the business suffered very badly. And now he has to go back and ask for money. So he has to go through that, humble steps and humiliating steps of asking and raising money from family or from friends, right? In this situation. So materially, the result was bad. Okay. Now there is a spiritual aspect also to the work that he did. And what do you think was the spiritual result, which will help you in your spiritual pursuit of this act that he had of setting up a business? And he had plans. The plans failed. And he's in a situation now where he has to go and ask for money. He has to so-called eat the humble pie. And what is he gaining spiritually here? Any thoughts? And Barsha Mataji says humility, and she is spot on, right? And humility, we always talk about humility so much in the Bhagavad Gita as a quality of a disciple, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his famous Sikshastakam says, Trinad api shunichena taror eva sahashnana amanina manadina kirtaniya sadahari. So we have to always understand that in this material world, it's a place where was fulfilled, which was created to fulfill our desire. But this material world is also a place where Krishna is trying to teach us a lesson, right? So when these things, when our big and well thought of processes and projects, they fail, don't look at the material results. You have no adhikar on it because you are destined to get it, right? But also remember that as part of that endeavor, there will be spiritual evolution. In all cases, there will be some spiritual evolution somehow or the other. It might be marginal, it might be very little, very subtle, or it could happen as a consequence of some actions that you will have to do later on because of what you did right now, right? For example, if I steal and I'm put into jail, right? You get nice punishment, I'm put under, you can't do this, you can't do that, then the tendency to steal might get diminished a little bit. So that is also still on the path of evolution for all of us, right? So we first and foremost, we use the intelligence just to differentiate between the matter and the spirit. And the second place that we will do is that we will now use our intelligence and understand that, oh my goodness, so this is what this whole world is about. And there is a God. I've done the Sankhya analysis, found all the elements, and God is the superior, right? Ishvara Parma Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, right? So you've got all those. And so you will take shelter of Krishna. So you are reading the Shastras, you're using your intelligence, and from every nook and corner, every side, every Leela that you hear about or read about Krishna, everywhere you're reading just one thing, and that is Krishna is Ishvara. And so you take shelter of him. Machitta matgata prana, bodhayanta parasparam, kathayantas chamam nityam, tushyanti charamanti cha. So you take shelter of Krishna. So you use your intelligence, right? You study the Shastra, did all the right things. You discriminated, this is right, this is wrong. I'm supposed to do this, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm going to walk on the narrow path. I'm going to study, I'm going to chant. I have complete shelter of Krishna. I have got knowledge that whatever I do has got two results, a material and a spiritual. Spiritual is the one that is make me evolve, right? And so I will use my intelligence and say, okay, Vindhyavali Mataji, I'm going to give you a glass of wine. Are you going to have it or not? What will be your answer, Vindhyavali Mataji? She says she's nodding her head. She's shaking her head and she's saying no. She used her intelligence not to do that, right? Now, tomorrow you have to go for Mangalarti, assume, and tonight there are some guests who come over to your house and they say that let's watch this movie. It's a very nice movie. Should you watch it or not watch it? If you say yes, then you're not using your intelligence. If you say no, then you're using your intelligence, right? So you're using your intelligence to make these kinds of discriminations so that you stay like a sadhaka that Prabhupada is talking about here, right? You stay a sadhaka. And then when we go to the highest level of using intelligence, then it might sound very crazy to you, right? Now, most of you have come to the USA at least once. Some of you are staying here. And when we come to USA, a person is leaving, or even if you go to any country, like if you're migrating to another country or plan to stay there for some time, you don't just come with $1 in your pocket. Do you? What are some of the things that you would bring with you when you're going from one country to another country? What are the things that you would bring? Take out your notepads and give me some answers here. We take some clothes, we take the currency, we take money. Of course, we take the passport. Good reminder. You should have information about a contact person over there, clothes, documents, currency, personal belongings. There you go, right? So we know that these are some of the things that we should carry. Now, if you don't carry your passport, of course, you won't even board the plane on that. If you don't have a visa, you won't even board the plane. But if you had the intelligence to get those ready, you can hop on the plane. And then, of course, if you carry certain things on the plane that you're not supposed to carry, then, the dogs are going to catch you and they'll be deported back. You'll come back, right? So you're using your intelligence to discriminate, this is good, this is not good. And I go there, I need money to do all that, right? Now, if you say I'm going to land in America and I'm going to land only with $1, is that an intelligent move or not? Give me the straight answer, right? I don't want you to think. It is not, right? It is not a good idea. All right. Now, my question to you is, what did Prabhupada do? How much money did he bring with him to USA when he came here? $1,000? $20,000? Yeah, 40 rupees, right? Which was, a dollar, a couple of dollars, right? So it was not, so for anyone looking at it from the material perspective, it was not the right decision, right? Now, hindsight, was it the right decision? It was. So how come something that seemed like a stupid thing to do, how come this kid became like, but it is not fluke. This is not by chance that it happened. This is because Prabhupada was using his intelligence at a higher level. Highest level of intelligence is that you get rid of the intelligence. You had first used the intelligence to get into Krishna consciousness. And then at one point you say, I'm not going to use my intelligence. I am totally surrendered to Krishna. What's the need for me to use my intelligence, right? When your kids go with you, when your kids were small, and you took them out to, say, Disneyland, they didn't have to rake their brains on what plane am I going to take, what tickets are there, what hotels I'll book, which rides I should go first. They were not using their intelligence. They just tagged along with you. They just went along, right? So the third and the highest level of intelligence, which will come from a long pursuit of Krishna consciousness, is that we become totally surrendered. And to be totally surrendered to Krishna is the best use of intelligence. But we have to be very careful not to use that as an excuse to go into ignorance and say, I'm not going to do any work. Because those who are in devotional service means anushilanam. There's a lot of work that is involved. So people work. They just don't think about the result. And all that Prabhupada had in his mind was that my spiritual master told me to spread Krishna consciousness to the Western world, and I will do it. And on his way on the Jalduta, he wrote some poems. And what did he say in the poems, right? You can make me dance in any way that you want me to dance. I will dance, Krishna. It is your will, right? So that is the extreme use of our intelligence. And that's what this verse is saying, that if you want to rajeta, if you want to walk and move around in this material world, you have to use your intelligence, and at various levels and at various grades. And I got some 40 rupee answers from the internet also, and some password in those answers as well on Facebook. There's a delay, so I get the answers a little bit later there. So I will stop here now and take reflections or question for the next 14 minutes. I have a real hard stop today. There's some festivities coming up, and I have some action items for me in my spiritual life, so which is good. I'm feeling happy for that. So if you have questions, then you can raise your hands. That will be a good way for me to know who has got a question. And to answer the questions, I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. And once you're done asking your questions, please do mute yourself back again. So let's see. Excuse me. Anything that stuck your mind, anything that you're going to carry with you home today, any questions that you have, what do you say? And if you're speaking on mute, then please unmute yourself. And let me also check the chat if you're asking questions on the chat. Krishna and his spiritual master help him. Yes, that is true. Yeah. Yes, Namazya Mataji told about that. And Varshana Mataji has her hand raised, so we'll go for her question. Please go ahead, Varshana Mataji.
No question, Mataji. It is only reflection that if you use your intelligence properly, then you can go with 40 rupees, even with 40 rupees to the foreign country, because you have full faith in Krishna and you have a good aim in your mind. Your spiritual master's what he wanted to spread Krishna consciousness in Western countries. So he carried that with him. That was a super intelligence than, you see, having a money with him.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That is true. And that's why, Krishna talks about, in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he talks a little bit again about modes of nature. And he talks about intelligence in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness, and so on and so forth. But then, of course, he talks about all that, but the key and the main price verse from 18th chapter is Sarv Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshashyami Masacha. It's very difficult for us to do, and that is what the Christians call as the leap of faith. And Srila Prabhupada was able to leap from India to USA on that faith alone. On that faith alone. And when you have that kind of faith, then the turbulent waters of the Atlantic Ocean will also calm down. This is what happened, right? So this is the power of Krishna. This is the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And our good fortune is that he is our friend. Isn't it fantastic that we have such a fantastic friend? We're always looking for connections in the upper circles, right? If only I know the secretary to the president, like that. But here he's out there, he's saying, come to me, come to me, come to me. Mam ekam sharanam braja. Mam ekam, he's saying, be faithful, only me. Don't dilly-dally, dabble here and there. Don't do that. There were some more hands. Vindhyavali Mataji, please go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Not only faith and is what is that? Depending Sarvodharman Parityasya. He has that good will also, good thought with what his guru gave him, that to spread the good will here. That is the main thing. It cannot be counted with money or any other things, Mataji. The
Absolutely.
way he spread the Krishna conscious here, not only here, all over the world. That is the main thing. When he came with $40, 40 rupees here, and with all the heart attacks and everything, and he has a faith on Krishna and he has a faith on his guru. He wants to keep his guru's words, and then he wants to spread the goodwill here, not that just like that coming and telling the words and everything. Not he showed in action. That is the main thing we have to get.
Very nice. And
That's
that's
what
what,
happens. That's
yes,
all, Mataji.
very nice, very nice. And that's what it means. And Prabhupada showed through his life what it means to assimilate the knowledge that you have received into your life. This is a classic example when he has assimilated 18.66 from the Bhagavad Gita. Complete assimilation. He's a
When
living.
I say that words, also I'm getting tears on my eyes. I'm so touching. It is so touching.
It is.
And
Yeah.
today morning Bhagavad Gita class, Bhagavatam class, I heard Prabhupadaji's last words, last what he spoke to his in Chaitanya Charitamrita, like this Navadvip Parikrama thing, book. And that was his last voice I heard. It was really touching. I
Yeah.
also,
And yeah.
also
And
I cried.
yes, very good. And talk about Navdvip, Prabhupada was looking at Navadvip
Yeah.
in his days.
Eh,
And he was looking
really.
at it and he's saying, let's make this the world headquarters. I mean, compared to
Yeah.
Los Angeles, and he compared Los Angeles to Mayapur in those days, right? Somebody will think like it's the most stupid thing to do. But he
Yeah.
had spiritual vision because he had that depth of vision because of his being at that stage of evolution in spiritual. Of course, he was not evolving, he's already there. And so he's able to see into the future, which we can't,
That's very nice.
right? He's able to do that.
Navadvip Parikrama. It's something.
Oh, yeah. Varsha Mataji, I'm going to, yeah. And Varshana, do you have another question or reflection, or you forgot to lower your hand? Okay, Varsha, are you ready?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, go ahead.
Mataji, I had a question. So all the experience that we have in life, some people have childhood troubles, some people have financial troubles where they really learn a huge lesson in life. Does that mean that they also get like a spiritual evolution, because everything that they go through is meant for they're coming to that realization that Krishna is everything?
Yes, majorly yes, but it's not something that happens just in isolation. If a person has got trouble in childhood, then the samskaras will also come into place. The environment in which will also come into will also be a heavy factor in how the child, when becomes an adult or even in childhood, reacts to that. I mean, there are cases of children not being treated properly at home, and their reactions are very different. Some will take a gun and shoot, right? Some will become recluses, and some will take to Krishna consciousness. It's a sum total
Mhm.
of the samskaras, the environment, and even if a person is doing bad, and this is where it goes. It's a crazy thing that sometimes the means could be very different from the ultimate result that you get, right? So somebody had the cause, and we had talked about the material cause, the efficient cause, right? And those the external cause and those
Mhm.
indirect causes. So we talked about that. So it could also happen that suppose a child is very not treated properly at home, he runs away and starts taking drugs, right? Which
Mhm.
right? And it could also be not treating at home. The child is unhappy at home. And this was one of the things that was happening in America when Prabhupada came, right? They were children
Yeah.
of very rich parents, right? So, and they're looking for, like,
Yeah.
this is not happiness. And I'm taking Mariana, this is also not happiness. Now, some of them had the Sukriti that, Prabhupada came into the life, or somebody came into the life, and then they took to Krishna consciousness. So you see, from the original cause, which was an unhappy childhood, they reached to spiritual happiness, like that, right? So the cause
Yeah.
could lead to a very different result, right? And in some cases, they might not. They would just continue to take drugs and then die. I mean, you see that so often in famous musicians dying, and so many famous people dying. They're actors and film actors that they're found, dead from overdose of drugs, right? And there's something
Yeah.
that is bothering them. So association also means a lot. But if because of and then at that time when it is happening, it's very difficult to tolerate it and very difficult to suffer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
especially their children. Since you're talking about childhood, I'm going to just focus on that. So parents could mistreat a child, right? And because of that mistreatment, you don't have attachment to the parents. Now, attachment to the parents or the children is the biggest attachment that going to cause us grief at the time of death. Now, this person does not attach to parents. Spiritually, it's a good result. Materially,
Yeah.
very bad result. You know, and then this person with a mentality which is like a swaying in this direction now enters into matrimony. So had a difficult parent, now goes and marries a man. If it's a woman, marries a man. If it's a man, marries a woman. And now what
Mm-hmm.
are they expecting out of the spouse? They are expecting the spouse to behave like a parent, because that's what they're missing in their childhood. Now this person doesn't know. This person is thinking of a romantic relationship. So then they end up with, unhappy marriages. Now, do all unhappy marriages, you know, are they all bad? No. In some cases, unhappy marriages. Look at Prabhupada's marriage.
Yeah.
Unhappy marriage, right? It led to such a good result. So that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
from situations that happen in our life, there are two kinds of results that come out. One could be a material result, and one could be a spiritual result. And since we are spiritual being, and since spiritual results are everlasting, if I have a very happy life, everybody takes nice care of me, I'm nicely endowed with things, and I'm married, very nice spouse, and then I have kids, very nice kids. I enjoyed the whole life, and then I die. What's going to happen? I'm going to come back again. The idea is not
Yeah.
to come back again. So sometimes miseries are good, and that's why Kunti Maharani is so strong, and she says, right? Vipada sadhu yat satvat, tatra tatra jagatu. So she's just saying that these miseries are much better. Although at that time it is very difficult, but hindsight is always 20/20, and you look back. And I would encourage all of you, as my parting comment from today, would be, take this as an exercise. Take this as an exercise. Take out a notepad and a pencil and a pen, and write down all the bad things that happened to you in your life, all the things that you wanted to happen this way and they happened that way, right? Write them all down. And then start walking from that instance, right? Something didn't happen that way. And then what did you do next? And what did you do next? And connect it, try to connect it to your Krishna consciousness state now. You will be very surprised. All of them will connect to your Krishna consciousness. You'll be very surprised. But do that exercise, because by doing that exercise, the bitterness which is in the heart, the bitterness that stays in the heart for not getting a certain thing that I really wanted, right? Now, when you do this exercise, that bitterness will go away. And a little bit of the bitterness sometimes is towards Krishna, because we are in awe of Krishna and we put him at this pedestal and we know he's very powerful. And it's like, I wanted this and Krishna did not give me this. Satyam dishati arthito arthitam nirnam navarthado yat puna arthita yatha Sayam vidhatte bhajatam anichitam ichhapidanam nidapada pallavam. So it's a very interesting verse. And what it verse says is that if a devotee approaches the Lord, so, and this is for going forward, if a devotee approaches the Lord and asks for some material benefits, Krishna will give him the material benefits. However, if Krishna thinks, and this is very, very important, because we watched Garima Mataji demonstrate to us the other day as to how your material desires grow. When I had the magic wand in my hand and I was asking her, what do you want? And she said, I want to become a manager. Then I said, what do you want? She said, I want to become a director. What do you want? I want to become a VP, right? So when you go and ask for material things from Krishna, he'll give them to you. However, if Krishna thinks that by granting your wish, whatever your material wish is, if by granting that wish, you, his dear devotee, are going to ask for more material things, he's not going to give them to you. However, what he will do, he will, without your even asking you, he will give you devotional service. And the beauty of that, as we are also reading this verse from today, is that that is actually going to fulfill all your desires. Ichhapidanam nijapada pallavam. All your ichhas will get satisfied because once you, devotional service will take you to the lotus feet of the Lord, which are another boat that'll take you and help you cross over this material world. Mayam etam tarantite, daivihi esa gunamayi mama maya daratyaya, mam eva ye prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite. So this material energy, Devi, right, is my energy, right? But she is duratyaya, very difficult to cross over. Mameva ye prapadyante, those who surrender unto me, mayam etam tarantite, they'll be able to cross over this material world very easily. Okay. So with that said, Barsha Mataji, forget the past and look for the future. I mean, not your past, but I'm just saying the general answer in that case would be forget the past and look for future. We all have got Krishna. Only good things can happen because devotional service is an auspicious activity. Okay. So having said that, I'll have to take your leave and we'll meet again on Thursday, hopefully. Vancha
Thank you,
kalpana
Mataji.
kripa sindhu vyevacha patita nam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Very much, Shraddha
Thank you
Mataji.
so much, Mataji, for a
Thank
nice
you.
lecture. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank
Take
you.
care and
Thanks, everybody. Hare Krishna to everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare